Hello and welcome to our channel, MarshStream, your public performance broadcast platform. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can also donate to our tip jar and support the arts and artists of MarshStream by clicking the link below in the description. Check out our website, themarsh.org, for all upcoming live performances. Now, enjoy the show.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and we always love hearing and being reminded of what the Marsh does. Bridget, are you up here with me?
So we've got three fantastic performers, all very talented solo performers from the Bay Area. So what we're going to do is we're going to read a quick bio of each performer, and then we'll pull them up and send them on their way to performing. So up first is Janet Thornburg, and Janet has written and performed 8 full-length solo shows in San Francisco venues, including the Marsh, Theater Rhinoceros, Theater of I don't know how to say that, Yugen, Venue 9, and Solo Mio Festival. Most recently, she presented 2 new pieces, Tales of Great Ulysses in 2018 and Self-Improvement Junkie in 2019. At the Marsh and Solo Sundays at Stageworks in San Francisco. And she's performed, she has performed at Solo Sundays at Stageworks and at Tell It on Tuesday here in the Berkeley Marsh, and online now. So all over the place. Let's give a very warm welcome to Janet Thornburg, who is performing a piece called Life Saving.
I'm 6 years old. Spending time with my dad is my favorite thing in the world. And today he's brought me to Kids Creek so I can learn how to fish. It is great, except for one thing. I think it was a bad idea to bring my little brother Steve. He's only 3. He doesn't care about fishing. He can't even carry his own fishing pole. So I had to carry both poles and the junior tackle box. My dad puts worms on our hooks and casts our lines way out into the middle of the pond. Take care of your brother. Daddy goes across the bridge so he can talk to some of his friends on the other side of the pond. My dad's a veterinarian, so all the ranchers know him. Hey, Doc, they say as he walks past them. Stevie puts down his fishing pole and starts throwing dirt clods into the pond. Stop it, you'll scare the fish away. Just sit down and watch your fishing line. I sit down and watch my line, and I keep watching it because I want to be the first one to catch a fish. Splash! My brother Steve is gone. His little green baseball cap is floating on the water. Daddy, Stevie's in! Across the pond, my dad hears me. He jumps away from his friends and runs toward the bridge. He's running so fast that he looks like someone in a cartoon. Zoom. While Daddy is running across the bridge, a big rancher whose kids are fishing next to me just steps into the pond, reaches into the water, and picks up my brother Steve by the straps of his overalls. Steve is spitting out water and gasping for breath. His face is bright red. Now my dad is here. He takes Stevie from the rancher's arms. Thank you. Sure, Doc. Daddy says thank you again and again. He seems really young, the youngest I've ever seen him. Pick up those rods and bring them along and the tackle box. He trots off across the field carrying my brother Steve to the Jeep. I pick everything up and run after him. There wasn't time to reel in the fishing lines, so the hooks keep getting caught in the weeds. Daddy's already started the engine by the time I get there. I put the poles and the tackle box in the back and climb into the front seat next to sopping wet Stevie. I wait for my dad to say, good job on getting all that gear so fast. But he doesn't. He doesn't say anything. Stevie is sucking his thumb. I put my arm around him and pretty soon I'm almost as wet as he is. Just before we get home, Daddy looks over and says in a weird voice, I told you to watch him. He's not yelling. It sounds like he's trying to figure it out. Well, it happened really fast. I don't say anything else because Daddy doesn't like it when we make excuses. When we get home, Daddy rushes inside with Stevie. I stay on the porch because I don't want Mom to blame me for Stevie getting wet. I hear the rumble of Mom's voice and then Daddy's. Then Mom yells, "You left him alone with the 6-year-old?" It sounds like my dad is the one who's in trouble. I'm 10 years old. I have an orange helium balloon tied on my wrist, and I am skipping around the stage in the Thanksgiving pageant. As I skip across the front of the stage, I look for my mom in the folding chairs with the other parents, but she's not there. Is she standing in the back? No, this is impossible. Mom comes to all my programs. When the pageant's over and the other kids leave with their parents, I just head for home by myself. Mom is going to be so upset when she realizes she missed my performance. But when I get home, Auntie Irene is standing on the front porch. I don't like her. She wears high heels and red lipstick even in the middle of the day. What's she doing here? She almost never comes over. I see Steve and Bruce in the back seat of her car. Where's Mom? She had to go to Montana today. Your daddy got sick on his hunting trip. What? Is he all right? We don't know. Your mother will call tonight. You and Steve and Bruce are going to stay at our place. At dinner, Mom calls and talks to Uncle Roy. I see that our dad is not all right. Uncle Roy's face is pale. After he gets off the phone, I hear him say to Auntie Irene, "A massive heart attack." Steve and Bruce and I are supposed to sleep on the floor in the basement. I can't sleep. I pray and pray that my dad will be okay. But it doesn't work. He dies the next day. When my mother comes home, she's not the mom I knew before. She's broken. But instead of collapsing, she never stops moving. She sells our house, sells Daddy's veterinary practice, and packs up all our stuff. 2 days before Christmas, she loads the 5 of us kids into the green station wagon and drives across the icy roads and mountain passes from Idaho to her hometown in Colorado, where her parents live. Then Mom gets really sick, and I'm terrified that she's going to die too. One day when I'm helping Grammy hang out the wash, she mutters, "You know, I knew from the first time she brought him home, your mother shouldn't marry that man." It takes me a moment to realize she's talking about my father. What? Grammy's always been a perfect grandmother, baking molasses cookies, reading us stories when we came to visit in the summer. But now I feel a flash of red-hot anger toward her. While Mom is getting well, Grammy takes us with her to the Methodist church. One day during coffee hour, 2 old ladies come over to me and Steve. One of them takes my hand between her plump hands. "Janny Sue, you be good to your mother. Help her all you can. That poor woman, taking care of all of you. Don't you give her any trouble." The other one puts her bony hand on Steve's shoulder. "You're going to have to step up, young man. You'll have to take care of your little brother and your sisters and your mother. You're the man of the family now." "What is the matter with you?" I want to say to her. "Can't you see he's 7 years old? He's little. He wears glasses. He just lost his dad. What in the hell are you talking about?" But of course, I can't say anything to them. They're Grammy's friends. "Come on, Steve, let's wait outside." It's cold outside. I hate those old biddies, and I hate their church. And you know what? I hate God too. We never talk about Daddy in our family. At first, we kids don't mention him because we know that Mom couldn't bear it. She misses him too much. But then he becomes taboo, unspeakable, and we don't talk about him even when Mom isn't there. It's too dangerous. But I dream about him often. In the dreams, he's wearing his work coveralls. His hat's at a jaunty angle. He's on a green, green hillside across a little valley from me. They told me you were dead, but you're not. I wake up overjoyed that he's still alive, but stunned that he's decided to live away from us. I decide that I'd much rather be where he is than where I am. I'm 12 years old. Hey guys, I have an idea. Let's take this raft out into the middle of the pond. That kid who made it won't care. He hasn't been down here all week. My little brothers keep packing mud into empty coffee cans and turning them upside down to build a village along the edge of the pond. Same thing they did yesterday. My brother Steve is 9, Bruce is 7, and I have to stay down here all day and take care of them while Mom is in class. Well, guess I'll just go by myself. I untie the raft and pull it into the water. It's just a couple of beams with 4 planks nailed on top, about 4 feet by 4 feet. When I boost myself onto the raft, it tips, but I slide back to the middle and I'm floating. Now they're paying attention. What? Oh, I thought you didn't want to come. Oh, all right, but hurry up. Leave your shoes, and Steve, leave your glasses. They wade out to the raft. I jump down and help them scramble on. There's barely enough room for the 2 of them. We're wearing shorts and t-shirts, not swimming suits, but it's a hot day, so that's okay. At first, I'm walking behind the raft and pushing it in front of me. When the water gets up to my chest, I start doing the frog kick. I have a strong frog kick. I passed intermediate swimmer back home before we came over here for Mom to go to summer school. Oh, this is more like a lake than a pond. We're not even close to the middle. Rafting is a lot harder than it looks in that picture in the Huckleberry Finn book. Of course, their raft was a lot bigger and they were on a river. There's no current to help me. My legs are getting really tired and Steve and Bruce are starting to horse around. Hey, stop it, guys. You're going to tip it over. Ah, here's an idea. Watch me. I'm going to go down and see how deep it is. It's colder and colder, but I don't touch the bottom. It's deep and it's dark down there. Not like the deep end of the swimming pool where the lifeguards can see the bottom. And there aren't any lifeguards here. We're the only ones at the pond. Well, I'm a strong swimmer and Steve can dog paddle a little, but Bruce hasn't had any swimming lessons at all. We better go back. I swim around to the other side of the raft. When I start kicking and give the raft a push, it tilts and Steve falls right on top of Bruce. Bruce pushes back so hard that Steve topples over backward into the water and the raft lurches away from him. Steve goes under for a moment, comes up gasping, but he's facing away from us. Steve, this way. He paddles like mad toward us and finally takes hold of the edge of the raft, but he can't pull himself back on it. I swim around behind him, tread water, grab the back of his pants and lift. It takes 3 tries, but I get him back on the raft. Then I start pushing them back toward the shore. When we get there, my legs are shaking and I have to lie down. Steve is soaked and shivering. Hey, let's go home. We can make Rice Krispie treats. Come on. When I'm halfway up the path, an awful thought comes into my mind. What if I was running up this path, screaming for help because Stevie hadn't made it back to the raft? What if he was down in that cold, dark place at the bottom of the pond? and it was my fault. That didn't happen. He's right behind me, but it could have happened. I swear I'll never take my brothers into danger. I swear I'll never take my brothers into deep water on a flimsy raft again. I'm 31 years old. I feel something on my leg. I'm lying on a narrow bed. The whole room is moving and vibrating. A man at the foot of my bed is lifting a pinch of the fabric of my pants. He's holding a pair of scissors. These are my good pants. They go with a suit, gray with a light blue pinstripe. Hey, what are you doing? He jumps and looks at my face, wide-eyed, like he didn't know I was here. Well, I've got to find out where the blood's coming from. Why didn't you say something? I unzip my pants and wriggle out of them. And then everything turns dark again. It's a welcome darkness, soft and velvety. The next time I come back from the dark, a red-haired guy in purple scrubs is blotting the side of my head with gauze. It's cold and wet. He's taking something out of a tray. It's a razor. No, sorry, I've got to shave your head so they can sew up the cut. I just got this perm last week. I'll take off as little as possible. I feel him shave a wide track from my forehead to my crown. That guy leaves and an old guy and a young guy come over. The old guy probes around in my head and talks in a monotone to the young guy about what to look for in head wounds. I slide away from them back into the dark. Now I'm in a wheelchair. A middle-aged woman is pushing me into an elevator. There's a ding, and we come out into a big lobby. Where are we? San Francisco General. What's going to happen to me now? Well, we're just going to wait here till your brother comes to pick you up. Who? Your brother, Steve. We called him and he's on the way. Before long, the sliding doors open and Steve comes in. Oh, Jan, what happened? I don't know. How did you know I'm here? Virginia gave them my phone number. Virginia. She was in the car with me. She was talking and talking at me right in my face, talking like crazy. Yeah, she is crazy right now. She went off her meds, remember? You were taking her back to Mission Terrace psych ward after we took her out to dinner. Where is Virginia? Is she hurt? No. They said she's fine. They took her back to Mission Terrace. A woman in a navy blue pantsuit comes over carrying a big plastic bag. She checks the bracelet, hospital bracelet on my wrist and puts the bag in my lap. I see that my pinstripe pants are red with blood. When can I leave? I've got to get home so I can soak these pants before the stain sets. The woman who's been pushing my wheelchair frowns at my brother Steve like she's worried. She hands him a sheet of instructions and tells him the danger signs to watch out for when someone's had a concussion. She pushes me through the sliding doors and out to the curb. Steve helps me into his VW Bug. Steve finds a good parking place in front of my apartment. As soon as we're inside, I run a sink full of cold water and start scrubbing at the blood in my pants. Wait a minute, there's a cut in the left pant leg. That guy cut it after I told him not to. Well, I guess I can sew it up, but I don't know if these bloodstains are going to come out. Jan, you need to go to bed. Steve takes the pants, brings them out, and hangs them up over the faucets in the shower. After he checks that my pupils are the same size, he guides me over to the bed and tucks me in. He pulls up a chair and sits down beside me. When I close my eyes, I see red, 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 and finally black. Steve's asleep on the sofa the next morning when I wake up. My neck and back hurt so much that he has to help me out of bed. He drives me to the lot where my car was towed last night so I can sign a release. It's a huge graveyard of totaled cars and trucks. The guy in the office gets my paperwork and leads us to Tommy Toyota. He has me sign on the clipboard and then he goes back to the office. Steve follows him, but I can't stop staring at Tommy. The door on the driver's side is crushed so far inward that it looks like the letter C. The windshield is shattered. I start to remember. Virginia, raving on, me speeding up so that I could make it up the next hill on Dolores Street. A blaze of lights, shriek of metal on metal. Disconnected voices yelling, flashing red lights, a flashlight in my face, and then the mercy of absolute darkness. Steve has come back for me. Come on, Janny, let's go home.
That was great.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You know, Janet, I feel like you were in my very first class.
Wow, that was
way back like 15 years ago.
I remember your story. I remember you. Wow.
And I haven't heard but this was great to hear so much about your family. It was very rich. It was just felt like a whole nother side of your stories that I had never heard.
Oh, great.
So it was a very powerful and very vivid and, anyway, so thank you.
That's very cool. And they're through the magic of Zoom, they are all here tonight. So on Thursday, they're going to be telling me that didn't happen that way, but we'll see.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
All your siblings are here, Janet?
Pardon? They're here, yeah. I think they all made it, yeah. Even though it's late in Pennsylvania, but they, because of Zoom, they can come.
I love it. I love hearing about your family. So that was really, really fun. Welcome to your siblings, Janet's siblings. So glad you could join us.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Our next performer is Freddy Lee Johnson. He'll be performing Success in Minor. And music has always been an important part of Freddy Lee Johnson. Ever since he walked by a pawn shop at the age of 15, saw a beat up trumpet in the window and knew he had to have it. Sentenced to prison at 18, this is the story of how music has impacted a life. Let's welcome Freddy.
Take care of the long tone. The long tone will take care of you. Now, my first teacher drilled that into my head. An old school jazz cat. Look, Freddie, if you want to play, you got to be for real. Using the vernacular of the day. Now, I was okay with that. I looked up to this brother. Short guy, played his butt off. Always walked around with a cigar in his mouth. Now, I never saw him light that cigar. Carried it like he was a tough guy and wore his hat broken down Ace Deuce tray. Julius Little Red Ellaby. Now, I met Julius when I was 15. He was 30-ish. I studied with him for 3 years. I looked at him like he was a big brother. Lived with him, shot dope with him, moved to San Francisco with him. I remember our last lesson. It was on Ocean Beach. Now it was cold, windy, and he had me play the same note for 2 hours over and over again. Freddy, play that long tone. Open up your eyes. Look out at the ocean. Play it. Play it straight, fat, even, and pretty. Because that's you. You're doing that. And once it's out there, Freddy, it's out in the universe forever. You're putting your whole life into this little hole right here. Take care of the long tone. The long tone will take care of you. I finally understood what he was talking about. However, I stopped taking care of the long tone. My heroin habit was my priority. I was boosting, shoplifting, and looked out for Julius when I could. Then I started selling drugs. And with that, guns, and eventually prison. Now, San Quentin at that particular time was known as one of the most notorious prisons in the United States. On the bus to San Quentin, there was some fear there, but I tried to hide it. Nobody said nothing. And I felt the prison before I even went there. Before I saw it, I felt it. And I was surprised when I saw it. They had flowers planted out in front, some trees, other shrubbery. Saying to myself, what the hell is going on here? What is this, a prison beautification project? Because those gun towers, they cancel all of that out. All of it. And from that point on, we were under the gun. Getting off of the bus under the gun. Being processed under the gun, showering, walking across the yard, even in our cells. The cell block had 5 tiers and 2 catwalks around the perimeter of that block. And the COs, the correction officers, would patrol that with their rifles. You get out of line, you could get shot. Life had changed. It would never be the same. I remember the first time I went to the lower yard. That's the big yard. Going down the stairs, and I see a basketball court in front of me, a gym. It looks new gym over there. The iron pile over there. People in blues. They just all around. People playing tabletops, chess, pinochle, slamming bones, dominoes. Saying to myself, where do I fit in here? I mean, I'm not from California. I'm from New York. But I see a track ahead around the perimeter of a field. And I start walking. Just walk the track. Felt good. Then I started jogging, then running. And I ran for the entire period. I'm young, I could handle it. But at the same time, I'm checking things out. Mexicans over here, whites over there, blacks over there. And I could see who some of the shot callers were, just checking it out. But I found my place. I just kept moving. That's where I belong. Eventually, I did see somebody that I knew from the streets, Old Man Walter. He was an old con. Now I say that with all due respect. The way I was orientated, the old timers told me, look, there's a difference between a convict and an inmate. Simply put, A convict is more thorough. And that was definitely Walter. Walter, this brother used to drop that knowledge on the young brothers in the streets. We used to call it nuggets, golden nuggets. And I could definitely use a couple of those right now. I was happy to see him, but I'm not running up on him and shaking hands and hugging on him. You may get a bad decision. Correction officers may think you're passing something by shaking hands. And I just didn't want nobody touching me. Walter, it's me, Freddy Short Jab. He looked at me like I was from Mars. He said, I saw you when you drove up. I saw you when you came. Long silence. He said, Short Jab, I heard what happened in the streets. It's one brother dead, and you're in here. It's two brothers they don't have to worry about. I'm thinking, nobody's ever talked to me like this before. It's like a father to son, grandfather to grandson. What did I do? He looked at me with disgust, with anger, and even pain. Then he just spun and he walked away. Life would never be the same. One of my favorite pastimes was giving the state back some of this time. It was only 15 years. And I couldn't but it was kicking my butt. And I couldn't let people know that though. I mean, there were people doing life, double life, 40 years, 50 years, or any of the combination. I couldn't tell anybody that 15 years was kicking my butt. But I found a way to give some of this time back. At this particular time, I was living in the East Block. It's just like the other blocks. 5 tiers, cells on both sides, and catwalks. Now, one side in the East Block, one side, the cells were facing the upper yard. In other words, more penitentiary. The side I was on, it was facing the bay. Some of us refer to it as the Riviera. Now, they had windows on the far side of the catwalk, and some of us, we felt it necessary to throw various items at the windows and break them. We could see out the window. Could see a little ocean, a boat every now and then, and maybe a seagull wing flying by. I read in the National Geographic magazine that sea otters, after catching their prey, the shellfish, they would lay on their back, put the shellfish on their chest, take a utensil, a rock, and they would bust it open and eat it and just float around. I thought that was the coolest thing. What a reward for all of that work. What I did, I would lay in my bunk and I would see through the bars and the broken glass, and I could see out. I made a cup of carnation instant milk, and I had some vanilla wafers. I lay down. Now, they were real vanilla wafers, not Nilla wafers as they have now, but that's another story. I would lay down and dip the vanilla wafers and eat them. Let me tell you, I was one with the sea otter. A rodent on the Riviera. I know what it is but I don't want to hear it. It's that long tone. You see, I stopped playing music the day I got arrested because I felt like just a piece of crap. You know, I disappointed other people and myself. I didn't even listen to the radio. I kept hearing this, and I was able to squash it after a while. The San Quentin newspaper was on my bunk. I grabbed it, I opened it. It just, what does it say? We're holding open auditions for the San Quentin stage band. My God, enough of the music, enough of the music. Don't want to hear it. And it was like some involuntary movement. It's like something grabbed me in my chest and just yanked me out of my bunk. I'm in there by myself. Milk went everywhere. Vanilla wafers went everywhere. I found myself with a paper and pen, and I wrote my lady, please, Alice, send me my horn as soon as possible. When my horn finally arrived, I was so happy. I played the long tone. A few scales every now and then, but the long tone. It's getting familiar with it. I felt like I was on the beach again, on Ocean Beach with my teacher, Julius. And when it came time for the audition, it was in the evening, at night. They popped my cell, I walk out. I'm the only one on the tier. This is new to me. I said, are they trying to set me up? And I walked down to the rotunda, showing my ducat, my pass, and walked to the gate. And I hesitate. Wow, I am getting ready to go out at night by myself, unescorted, under the stars. Johnson, let's move it, Johnson, let's move it. When I walk out, I feel like I'm paroled. It's this freedom of mobility, even though it's only 20 or 30 yards. And as I'm walking, I hear a trombone, drum, and a guitar. Man, and it's sounding good. The melody, the rhythm, the harmony, the voicing, and it's just downright soulful. The closer I get to the mess hall, the better it sounds. I want to play. Oh, I want to play now. When I walk into the mess hall, it's culture shock. There's only about 30 people in there. One person is over here working something out. 2 or 3 people are together over here. Trumpets, loud, making noise, getting on people's nerves. You know, usual big band stuff. But the races are mixing together. And it's a creative vibe. They're not beefing. I personally never saw that before. I don't know how long I was standing there, and a guy comes up to me and says, are you here for the audition? Yes, I'm here to see Jerry Garcia. That's me. Big Mexican cat. I like his demeanor. You know, big dude. And it's like, you know, he's a nice guy, but you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side. One of those type of guys. I later found out, by the way, that is Jerry Garcia from, not from the Grateful Dead, but from East LA. I had to audition for Jerry, only Jerry. I didn't do well, not at all. But I was okay with that. I did the best that I could do, and I knew that I had my horn and that I was going to get better. Jerry stood back. He says, look, short jab. You know, I'm a trumpet player. Oh, yeah, I perked up then. He knows what it is to put your whole life through this little hole right here. He knows. Short jab, play a long tone. I could do that, saying to myself, that I could do. With the slightest nod, Jerry gave me a nod of approval. I made it, man. I'm in the band. Success even in prison. If I didn't know better, let me say it again. If I didn't know better, I would say that was the same long tone that I played on the beach. I mean, after all, Julius did say that once it's out there forever. But I don't want to get getting too deep for myself. But I do know this. I'm still riding that long tone. Thank you.
That was such a great story. And I've heard this story a couple times, but I heard some new things tonight. Freddie reminds me that Fred is part of a project called Formerly Incarcerated People's Project that's directed by Mark Kinward, and I'm actually collaborating on that project. And anyway, there's just so many stories that, like yours, Fred, that come, the light that's light, just makes me think of the larger project and really appreciate the role that music brought to you in those dark times. Anyway, and you're such a great storyteller.
Such a great storyteller.
And I thank you, for kicking my butt, helping me grow with this. I really appreciate you and the Marsh and everybody involved.
I'm so glad Bridget invited you. So.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So we have one more performer this evening, Laura Jane Bailey, and she's performing a piece that is entitled "LJ is Invisible." And a little bit about LJ. Audiences have seen Laura Jane Bailey's acting work at many Bay Area theaters, including TheaterWorks, Aurora, SF Playhouse, and Capitol Stage in Sacramento. Last summer, LJ was thrilled to perform at the Marsh International Solo Fest with her show, The Paris Effect, and is so happy to be back. So let's give a warm welcome to Laura Jane Bailey.
Thank you. Okay, let's play a game. Let's play a version of Never Have I Ever. I'm going to make a statement about something I have never done. And if you have done it, you have to take a shot or a gulp or a sip or whatever you have. Got it? Okay. Never have I ever jumped out of an airplane. Anyone? Anyone? All right, pretty safe crowd. That's great. Never have I ever done psychedelics. Anyone? All right. Never have I ever seen a Marvel movie. Wait, nope, don't drink. That's not true. I did go to see Iron Man, but I fell asleep, so I don't think that counts. I'm more of a quirky romantic comedy gal myself. I don't really get action films. It's always been hard for me to watch them. I mean, I'm sure they're fun and exciting, and the whole good versus evil thing is always a great attention getter. I just think it's hard to watch those super people movies when you are a super person. What do they call them? I know that one franchise calls them mutants. It's a bit unflattering if you ask me. Oh, superhero, hero, that's what it is. Superhero, like the sandwich. When I was in high school, our drinking game we played was about confessing our secret superpower wish. Like some people wish they could fly, and other people wanted to have a car with all the gadgets like Batman. Mikey, one of our friends, he always wanted to spew fire. Mikey's in prison now.
Oh.
My super secret power wish was that I wanted to be able to rewind time 2 minutes, because that's usually when you realize that you could have done something different after you've already done something dumb or stupid or mean. I just wanted this little, not necessarily a superpower, a smaller power, like a single shot espresso power, not a venti latte power, just a little pop where I could quickly fix something and move on. But what I didn't share with my friends growing up, because I hadn't really grown into it until much later, is that I really do have a much bigger superpower. Like a Trente power, just to continue on with that Starbucks metaphor. Now, I will tell you about this superpower if you promise, like if you swear on the sacred text of your choice, you will never tell anyone. Okay? I can become invisible. Well, not right now. Of course, there's lights on me and there's a Zoom camera and all that, but it really is a very impressive power. I mean, I can be standing in line somewhere like Starbucks with my phone in my hand, ready to place my order and pay, when suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, someone, usually a middle-aged white guy, will step in front of me and place his order like he didn't even see me. Because he didn't. Because I'm invisible. Now, before the pandemic, I used to use this invisibility superpower at fancy bars and restaurants. The busier and noisier, the better. I could stand and wait to reveal myself to the bartender and watch an entire game of baseball on the television behind the bar if I wanted to, maybe even a double header. If I'm not careful and vigilant, the invisibility power slips, and a nice lady or an older gentleman will kindly suggest to the bartender that maybe he wants to take my order. Now, by far, the best, most beneficial place to use this superpower is Southwest Airlines. The key is to purchase the $25 upgrade so that you get to go in with the A's, the most important group. The big group, the one that takes all the aisle seats. Right. And now here is the most complicated part of the transition. When I find myself in my aisle seat, I lower my tray table so it's resting on my belly, and I avoid eye contact with all the other B's, C's, and D's. In fact, I can make the entire row disappear with this system, not just myself. It's like magic. Now, every once in a while, a grandma from Wisconsin will stand next to my invisible aisle and frantically looking for a seat. I am powerless to grandmas. They're like kryptonite to me. She'll catch my eye. My invisibility will disappear, and suddenly Gladys is sitting next to me chatting all the way to San Francisco. There seems to be a glitch in the system when it comes to older men and women. For some reason, they can pierce my superpower. Really need to check on the superpower online manual about that. Maybe there's like a system upgrade or a bug fix or something. Or maybe it's all that cataract surgery. Who knows? Now, at this point in my superpower confession, you might be thinking to yourself, Laura Jane, it sounds like you're just being ignored, not invisible. Au contraire, mon frère. I have been told many times when I have revealed myself to the line jumper or the hipster bartender with a, hey, I am right here. Without fail, they say, oh, I didn't see you. Now, you can see for yourself that I am not a delicate, dainty flower. So clearly, the invisibility is working. It's science, people. I discovered this superpower sometime in my late 20s or 30s. Now, before that time, sometimes it seemed like I had a spotlight on me, or rather on my boobs. I developed very early, like around 11, much earlier than all my friends. Boys in our class started to pay a little more attention to me. And over the next few years, teenage boys and men would look at me, and it made me uncomfortable at first, and second, and third. My brother's friends started to look at me and talk to me. Suddenly, I wasn't the bratty little sister anymore. Suddenly, I was a girl with big boobs and blonde hair and a fantastic record collection that she had stolen from her brother. I mean, it was kind of cool. They'd been ignoring me for years. And suddenly, I'm getting attention. I just wish somebody could have taught me how to handle it. Laura Jane, that guy is looking at you. Laura Manley is pointing to the porter helping us with our luggage. We're on our way to San Antonio from Chicago for a Lutheran youth group event. Well, I'll help you with that, miss. And the porter, with a tobacco-stained beard, winked at me and took my beat-up plastic Samsonite luggage, carrying it like it was a precious piece of Louis Vuitton. Thanks. He stood a little too close and his smile was a little too big. Oh God, the spotlight is on me. As we walk down the aisle of the train to find our seats, Laura M. says, ew, that guy was looking at your boobs. Like it was my fault. But I didn't say anything. Laura M. is the coolest girl around. Yes, folks, even Christian youth groups have their hierarchy. And Laura M. is at the top. The success or failure of my first chaperone trip anywhere lay in her hands. We go to the same church. We go to the same school. Our fathers are in the same business. We take ballet class together. My God, our first names are the same. Of course we're going to be besties. And she's not a mean girl. She's just hugely popular. She holds all the cards for all of us. And while her chest isn't huge, her popularity is. And I'm going to be part of the cool group at church and school, and this is how I'm going to do it. A few hours into the trip, Laura M. looks at me and says, I'm bored. I'm going to go walk around the train. And then she gives me a look like, are you coming with me? Hell yes, I pop up. This is when we're going to become besties. We're going to talk about boys and makeup. We make our way up the aisle to the front of the car where all the boys from our group are sitting. Eric and Carl and Michael S. and the porter who is passing out blankets. He looks at me and hands me a blanket and says loud enough for everyone on the train to hear, here you go, Dolly. And all the kids on the train start giggling, Michael S. and Laura and Eric. And I start giggling too, because when a group of kids starts to giggle, what does the girl do? She giggles. I didn't really understand what they found so funny, but then it hits me. Dolly Parton. Of course, Dolly Parton was huge at the time. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't you dare cry, I scold myself. And I don't. The burning in my eyes and my throat stay there. I shut everything down and I become a safe blob. I am literally standing behind Laura M. with my scratchy blanket and I'm hiding. I just fade away. God, you didn't say anything to anybody, Laura M. says as we return to our seats. She spends the rest of the trip talking to one of the older girls, Carol McCowan. That slim opening to the popular girls' door has closed. And I remain that safe, silent blob the whole week, choosing to spend my downtime with the parent chaperones. One of the mom does teach me how to cross stitch that week. And while that's not really a marketable skill for a teenage girl, it did teach me that I can stab something 1,000 times. I love Dolly Parton. I loved her when I was a teenager. I had her 45s, you know, Jolene and Islands in the Stream. Why'd you come in here looking like that? But I'd never made any personal connection with her. Honey, all you got to do is stand up proud, stick them out, and own them. Oh, Dolly, I couldn't do that. I'm just a kid. Everybody will laugh at me. That's right, honey. That's what you want. You want to get them on your side. Tell them jokes like, I was the first woman to burn my bra. It took the fireman 4 days to put it out. You can have that one. First one's free. Oh, thanks, Dolly, but I'm not a glamorous country and western superstar. Okay, honey. I can tell you're not ready. I'll just wait when you are ready. You take your time. And I'll just be 2 doors down, laughing and drinking and having a party. Isn't Dolly the best? She always knows the right thing to say or sing. I didn't have that skill. I hadn't yet learned to love the white hot spotlight. We're going to Panama Reds for lunch. Want to join us? Mr. Bush is standing next to my mother's desk with another salesman. Oh, I don't think so, Bill. I got to get these statements out today. You're lost. 2 for 1 margaritas. How about you, Junior? I'm standing at the copy machine wearing a dress my mother bought me from Carson Perry Scott. She wanted me to look professional while I assisted her for the summer. She had nixed my original summer job idea of walking beans with my friends. Walking beans was a coveted job in my neighborhood. You start work at dawn, and then basically you weed a 1,000-acre soybean farm until the temperatures are over 90, and then you go to the pool and eat frozen Snicker bars. Heaven. But my mom wanted me to learn a skill and not spend the entire summer in the company of dangerous 15-year-old farm boys and lifeguards. So there I was, standing next to the copy machine in my professional attire. And if I'm honest, it was a little tight in the chest, leaving a little gap, you know, here. I looked at my mom. She didn't say anything. I was supposed to stay here and help her with the statements, right? Or was I supposed to go? She couldn't possibly want me to go to lunch without her. So I just stood there waiting. Finally, oh, I don't care, just go. And she continued with her tasks without even looking at me. Great, let's take Mike's car. And suddenly I was off to lunch with 2 grown-ass men and drinking my first margarita. We'll take a pitcher of margaritas, 3 glasses. The waitress didn't even give it a second thought. I was 15 years old. There was no way she thought I was old enough to drink in the state of Illinois. You like working at Bush Paper? Yeah. You got a boyfriend? You drive yet? Nope. Why don't you go put some music in the jukebox? And he hands me a $1 bill to go put some music in the jukebox. Thank God. Anything to get away from that cigarette smoke and salesman cologne. I took a long time to make my selections, maybe a little too long. I was hoping that maybe when I turned around, the men would be deep in conversation, but when I looked, this is all I saw. I felt like Little Red Riding Hood. I punched C9 in the jukebox and walked back to the table as Dolly started singing 9 to 5.
And I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch.
All right. Nice
That
work.
was so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it. Love it.
It's always fun. After rehearsals, Rebecca and I always touch base, and I was just like, oh my God, they're all so good. This is going to be a great performance tonight.
She was, I know. And you were right. You were so right.
So what's happening right now for all of you who are joining us who aren't performing is we're pulling up all the performers again, and they're all going to be on here with us, and we're just going to give them a chance to let you know of any upcoming projects or anything that's any classes or performances that they have coming up, so you can keep following them. I know it's been a strange, this is it. This is the 1 year mark. Our first performance on Zoom for Tell It on Tuesday was in April. So this is like, it's the anniversary of online, right?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, it's been a long, strange year, and we still are like, I don't know when it's gonna open, but yeah, if you guys have anything coming up virtually or in person, let's start with Janet.
Okay, yes, am I muted? Yeah, I'm going to take David Ford's next session, and I think I'm going to expand this piece about how the caretaking switched from me taking care of Stevie to Stevie helping me out. So that's my plan. Who knows what direction it will go.
Nice. All right, Freddie, do you have anything coming up you want to tell us about?
Nothing, just gonna continue to study with Mark Kenwood, Rebecca, the rest of the crew. That's it.
Fantastic.
You do have there's going to be a performance in June at the Piano Fight in Oakland. So, but those details, that feels like a long time away. But we'll try to make sure everyone knows when that happens and where that happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm your agent. I know your next gig.
All right.
keep telling us your stories, Freddie.
Okay. All right.
All right, Jane.
Yeah, I have a couple of things coming up. I'm finishing this show. It's a full-length piece, so that's going to take a little while. But before that, I'll be performing at the Solo Arts Heal at the Marsh on the 12th, Wednesday the 12th. And I'm going to be performing a section of my piece, The Paris Effect, and then we're going to chat a little bit about that. And I'm performing the Paris Effect later this month at the Unexpected Solo Fest, which will be on Zoom. And if you follow me on Facebook under Laura Jane Bailey, you can find all that information, how to watch it. And then in August, I think we're going to do something live on the peninsula and tell stories in front of people.
Wow.
Yay!
Woohoo.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like part of me is like, oh, thank God we're going back live, and part of me is like, oh my God, we're going to be inside with other people. It sounds so weird.
It does sound weird.
It does sound weird.
At first I craved it. Now I just think, I don't think I'll know how to act. It's too weird. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, we've had it nailed into or knocked into our brains, especially here in the Bay Area. So we could not do what we do here without these fantastic performers. So, check out their information. There's a little bit of detail on the Marsh website that you can check out. Their full names are there if you want to look them up on Facebook. I think they mentioned there's some stuff on Facebook, but yeah. So, and our next.
Oh, the tipping jar, the Marsh tipping jar. It's always good. We always want to mention it earlier. It's really helpful for the Marsh to keep offering these free programs if audiences do continue to swing them some money.
And then our next performance is in May. Do you know the date, Rebecca?
No, but it would. Oh, that's right. We're moving to the 4th.
Yeah, May 25th.
So that's May 25th. So that's good.
Last and the 4th. So yeah, we have always been traditionally the last Tuesday of the month, whether there were 4 or 5 Tuesdays in the month. But as of a couple months ago, we are on the 4th Tuesday of the month, so that we keep some stability for the Marsh programming online here. So yeah, we are the 4th Tuesday, which is really only going to affect us in June, I think. Okay, so come back, tell your friends all about it, and we'll look forward to seeing you then.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.